We are talking NFL MVP predictions here on the channel today. I am Ninja. He is Tony Farmer. Welcome to Oddshark. Welcome to the channel. Do us a favor, though. Hit that like button. That helps us get all of our content out to the masses. Hit that subscribe button if this is your first time coming across the channel. We've got everything you need to know up and down the sports betting world. We are digging into the NFL season. We have fantasy stuff on the channel. We'll be doing game previews throughout the regular season. So make sure you make us a part of your sports betting routine. But all right, Tony. You've got two MVP picks lined up here, so get right into it. Who do you like in this betting market?
Andrew, you know I like Lamar Jackson to win the MVP this year. Baltimore Ravens quarterback who probably could have won it last year. I think he's going to have a big chip on his shoulder. A lot of continuity for him on this Ravens offense. I think he's a good bet. But the one I like even more than that is Joe Burrow at plus 650 at DraftKings. He's never won the MVP before, so you don't have to worry about the whole voter fatigue angle. His numbers last year, 43 touchdowns, 5,000 passing yards, 70.6 completion percentage. It was an MVP caliber season, but the Bengals stunk. So that's why he wasn't a realistic candidate. This year, if he brings the Bengals to the playoffs, the narrative is going to be, hey, he brought the Bengals to the playoffs despite that really bad defense. And that really bad defense is helping him statistically. Let me read you some numbers here. Last season, Lamar Jackson had 474 pass attempts. Josh Allen had 483 pass attempts. Joe Burrow had 652 pass attempts. He had 68 more pass attempts than anybody in the NFL. That's like giving him a 2 or 3 game head start in the MVP market.
Yeah, I'm very much aligned there. I don't like this board in particular. Like, I think it's Josh Allen. I think it's Lamar, I think it's Burrow, and it's Mahomes maybe, and it ends there. But I like your two picks here. I like Joe Burrow in that. And you talk about guys having chips on their shoulder. These two guys certainly do, but obviously for very different reasons. And the case you make for Joe Burrow, given, they might need to put up 45 points a game to get some wins. So it's going to be a very interesting season for Joe Burrow and that Cincinnati Bengals team. When you're thinking about betting these markets, is there any tips or any pieces of advice you can give the folks at home if they're thinking about dabbling for the first time?
Certainly. I mean, one, always shop around in these markets, have more than one book. Remember, you don't have to bet these markets at the beginning of the season. They're fluid. You can bet them weeks 3, week 4, week 5. And one, that's nice because you don't have to have this money out of your bankroll for an extended period of time. If you decide to bet it, say week 10 instead, you've got money in your account for 10 extra weeks. You can also decrease the injury risk a little bit, right? If you commit to saying, I'm not going to bet this until week 8, for instance, and a quarterback that you like breaks his ankle week 7, you just saved yourself a little bit of money. So of course the number can change to your favor, or it can get worse, and there's a little bit of risk there, but sometimes waiting is the best move.
Is there anyone that you'd not bet for MVP that you think personally is just throwing your money away?
Yeah, I have no interest in any of the non-quarterbacks. I have no interest in rookie quarterbacks like Cam Ward. I have no interest in a guy like J.J. McCarthy, who's essentially a rookie quarterback. I don't have any interest in quarterbacks who I think are going to be on losing teams this year. And I have no interest in a guy like Jared Goff, who I actually liked last year because he's not going to have Ben Johnson as his offensive coordinator this year. So it kind of narrows the scope down to the number of players that have a realistic chance at winning MVP. And I think that's what makes this market really interesting compared to some of the other awards markets.
If you are looking for a new sportsbook to add to your arsenal, you can visit oddshark.com/NFL/sites and get the lowdown on all of our partner books. And trust me, even if you have one, you've got to add more to your list for NFL season. There's nothing more important than giving yourself the opportunity to shop around and find the best odds or the best price. That's oddshark.com/NFL/sites. I want to ask you, though, about a couple of longer shots on this board. So us being San Francisco 49ers fans, let me start with our guy Brock Purdy here. 30-1, thereabouts. Again, it depends on the shop. But this guy was on the cusp of an MVP season a couple of years ago. So what do you think of Brock Purdy's price paired with the current state of the 49ers?
I haven't personally bet it, but I don't hate it. It's a decent number. If you consider that, like you said, 2 years ago, he had a good season, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Remember, he was atop the MVP odds board in December, right? I believe it was that Christmas game against Baltimore that he had like 3 or 4 interceptions, kind of knocked himself out of the running. So Brock Purdy has proven he's capable. He can put up MVP caliber numbers for 80-85% of the season. And then you add to that the fact that the 49ers have upside this year. A lot of people are predicting them to go to the Super Bowl, to be in the playoffs. So you got a playoff team with a quarterback who we know can do it. I think that's a nice number.
We had our guy Nick on to talk about his fantasy sleeper picks a short time ago, and Dak Prescott was one of his picks for fantasy sleeper. And we know Dak can put up fantasy numbers, but what do you think about him in this market? And I gotta say, if you want another example of the importance of having as many books as you can, the variance on Dak is crazy right now. So 28-1 at Caesars, 30-1 at BetMGM and DraftKings, 33-1 at Bet365, and then an insane 40-1 at FanDuel. So your thoughts on Dak Prescott?
I think Dak Prescott is a guy who has a low floor and a very high ceiling, and that's kind of what you're looking for in the MVP market. You can overlook that low floor, which is the offensive line doesn't gel, the locker room is a nightmare because of George Pickens. But the high ceiling, if George Pickens can behave himself and that offensive line can gel, you got CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and let's talk about Jalen Tolbert for a second. 7 touchdowns last year as a 26-year-old. If he continues to improve as he has all 3 seasons, I know, Jake Ferguson, a top 10-ish tight end. That's a lot of weapons on this Cowboys offense, and Dak has the potential to put up monster numbers.